Oh, sing, children of the world, come together and hear the call. Sing, children of the world, Islam will unite us all. Subhanallah walhamdulillah, wallahu akbar. Subhanallah walhamdulillah, wallahu akbar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, dear respected viewers, to another episode of Our School's What is Missing. Now in this episode we're going to be talking about the role of action plans and what they can play throughout our lives as students and throughout our schools. And many of us are so keen to rush and get on and achieve, yet it seems we haven't done the planning process which is necessary to take us those steps forward and lead us to success. With me in the studio, of course, is Dr. Mamdouh Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you, Doctor. Can you tell us a little bit about action plans themselves? It should be pretty clear to most of the viewers what you mean, but can you be a bit more precise?
Okay. The action plan is, it says that plan for the actions or for the tasks or for the activities that you are planning to make for the future. It's as simple as this. Whenever you do something, let's say that you want to travel from here to Germany or from here to Tokyo. Okay. You're not going to go to the airport and look for an airplane that would take you to Japan, right? So you need to have a plan, right? So say, now you're planning, making a plan so that you can reach Tokyo in a specific time. So now the plan is that you sit down, I want to be there to attend the conference at that time. So this is the time that you want to be there. So now you start making plan. I will spend, let's say, 2 hours to make search on the internet, or another alternative action is that you are going to go to a travel agent and ask the travel agent to do the job for you. So this is, the goal is to reach there safely, right? So and then the first step, okay, contacting the travel agent. And then who is that? You mentioned the name of the travel agent. Do you have the address of the travel agent or the phone number of the you write the contactor. So these are all steps that would guarantee that you would reach or you would achieve your goal safely.
I think certainly many of us, we live in this ever-moving, very fast world, and many people will be thinking, well, I don't know if I can be bothered to do all this pre-planning, etc.
You do it.
Why should I? Why is it important?
Oh, why it is important, yes. Now, you told me that you came from Alexandria. You just went to the station and they told you that there is no train now, and you waited there for 3 hours. You lost 3 hours from your life because you did not make the right plan. Had you made the right plan, right, you would have studied, you would have made some contacts for calls or internet research to know the time of these trains so that you can reach to Cairo. You can reach Cairo on the time that you want without losing 3 or 4 hours in the station.
So we're talking about efficiency.
Of course. You save time. You get accurate outcomes and results. You achieve a lot of things without plan. You go like a blind person in a desert and he wants to reach his house.
So what we're saying is it's a crucial factor in achieving.
And for everyone, not just for the school. For the school, for the teacher. That's why we say lesson plan. The lesson plan is planning for the lesson. What would I do in the beginning? How can I measure the assessment of the students? What are the things that I'm going to teach? Am I making a balance between the skills and the content that I'm teaching? So all these issues, when you plan for them, you know what you're doing. That's why when you go to a classroom and see a teacher teaching, you would immediately know that he or she is professional. just from staying there 10, 12 minutes. You don't need to spend the whole time in the classroom in order to decide that. So actions plans are very important, and this is one of the things that we advise parents to look into when they visit a school.
Okay, so before we go into using action plans and seeing how they're
Okay.
applied, etc., many people might be thinking, well, look, early Muslims, what did they have any idea of a so-called action plan?
Oh.
Have you got anything that shows us
Yeah,
that they
there's
did?
many. For example, the hijrah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet ﷺ planned very well for the hijrah, the migration. So, for example, he sent the companions before he went. And because he was chased by his enemies. What he did a plan to, divert their focus on him. So he went, instead of going to the north, he went to the south first. So they thought that he would never go to that place. And then he sent some people, he selected the best person who would know the desert and the road to Medina. He selected him and he hired him to be with him. So he took all these actions and he made all these tasks,
and of course he
to
also
guarantee that the outcome that he would reach Medina safe.
And of course he also put Ali
ibn Abi Talib, he put him in his place as part of the plan.
Part of the plan, yeah.
So all these are plans. So that's what you will find, that, for example, the Prophet ﷺ will tell you to make plan every time. He will say that اعمل لدنياك كأنك تعيش أبدا. Plan for your life as if you are going to live here forever. So this will tell you that you plan ahead 50 years, 100 years, whatever number plan. And at the same time, he taught us to plan for later life as if we are going to die tomorrow. And he gave you, the time to think, okay, how can I do these two together? It's very difficult to make the balance here between the two planning, and which is another type of planning and thinking. So planning was essential not only in the life of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, it is essential for the life of any human being. Any human being needs to plan, and this is the difference between two people who leave their houses and want to reach some place. One of them was planning, and the other one didn't do the planning. You can see, you can expect the outcome.
And I think there was Umar bin Khattab said that the best plan is the one that has been planned itself thoroughly. I think that's something like that. Yeah.
Something around that. You will find this is very common among the companions in their statements, and of course, they are the product of the Prophet ﷺ. So, planning. Here is the action plan. What is the plan of this school to improve? When you go to try to find a place for your son, this is your dearest son. You want to find a place that really plans. They are not working haphazardly or randomly.
Okay, let's talk about the elements of a successful plan. We've talked about the importance of obviously planning. Now we've got to talk about the effective planning and what are the elements of a successful plan.
Okay.
Can you give us
there
a
are some
rough framework
components,
here?
definitely. There may be slight changes in them. However, there are main components of it. For example, you put the goal or the target, and you put beside it is the tasks that you are going to do to achieve this. And you put the person who is responsible for what, or who does what, who is in charge of this, and what exactly he or she wants to do, and then the outcome of this. So these are the main components of it. Goals, tasks, people who are responsible to implement this. It can be one person, it can be a group of people. Then the time frame, or first what they are going to do, and then the time frame that they are going to achieve. Are they going to achieve it in 2 weeks, or 2 years, or 1 month, or whatever period? The time frame, and then the outcome. What would the outcome be? You have the goal. Usually the result usually is the outcome is the goal.
So is this this usually in the plan anyway?
In the
The
plan.
goal is the same as the outcome.
Usually, you're targeting for that,
But then obviously on reflection, perhaps then the two
There may
might
be
differ.
slight difference here, but this is basically the main components of any successful action plan. With little modification depending on, the situation itself. You need to see something like this, but what's more importantly is not to see the plan, the well-written plan. You need to see proofs that they are doing this.
Well, this is what I wanted to ask you as well.
In other words, the plan in action, not the action plan.
Exactly.
No, you need to see the plan in action.
How do we ensure, one of my, actually I know my weaknesses, probably my wife will tell me, is that I've got great plans.
That's great.
I've always making a lot of plans, but actually achieving those and getting them through, what is the key to making sure that those plans are implemented and they result in the place that you want to be?
What I understood from you is that perhaps, I'm just guessing, you need to elaborate on this. I'm guessing that you're missing the time frame. When you plan, you should have the time frame. I need to achieve this by this quality, through those people in such a time. So if you have this issue of time, perhaps you're missing it. If you define that when you have a plan, I don't say that it's a dream, because a dream you're not planning for it, but a plan that you set down based on some needs. So you decided to make a plan and you want to achieve this plan in such a date. Or such a time.
So how important? Okay, so time is obviously important to make sure we give limits to the task, and each task obviously relates to the next one.
Who's doing the task?
Who's doing it? How do we delegate? What's the secret to delegation here?
This is it. The question is, does the school principal or the owner delegate these responsibilities or assign these responsibilities to specific people, or is so general and vague? This is the
It sounds
issue.
like a common problem.
Yeah, it is a common problem in some countries, but it is not common, in other countries. It may be common in some schools, but not in others. But if you design an action plan like this, you will definitely get concrete outcomes, solid outcomes, measurable outcomes that everybody can see that. Yes.
So what's the key to getting motivation from the stakeholders? Let's call them stakeholders, the ones who are helping the plan. How can we motivate them to get these tasks done?
Yeah. First of all, we would need to explain to them the importance of these plans. And we would show them number of schools that they have planned for themselves and they have achieved their plans within the time frame. And we would see them, the other schools who have never planned for improving themselves, and they would see the concept. Do you know that this school, have you seen this school? It's good in this and this and this and this. One of the good things that they have done is that the action plan they have. It's so accurate, so specific, so realistic, because in time frame you can say that I'm going to achieve this in 1 month. I'm going to recruit 25 teachers in 1 month. It's a dream, it's not a plan, right? This is a dream, this is not a plan. You cannot recruit 25 good teachers in different areas, because you need to make good search and you need to make interviews.
So we talked about this in criteria setting, that we've got to make sure that those are realistic.
Yeah, realistic, of course. And that's why sometimes when we see any action plan, we see, is it realistic? This is one of the questions. Is it realistic or just a dream type of plan?
Okay, can you give us an example of a successful plan that you've been involved in yourself, and what that's actually achieved, where they were and where they got to?
And in fact, I wouldn't specify a specific thing or talk about my personal experience, but I do this even on my personal level. Yeah, when I try to move, for example, when I moved from Indonesia to the USA with my family, it's a very long trip. It needed a lot of preparation for us, so I had a plan. Yes, what should be done, how we're going to move even to the airport, what I'm going to do with my furniture. Am I going to take everything or to leave some of the things? Okay, what schools are my children going to join? What certificates do we need? What are the papers and the documents that we need to prepare before we go there? So I tried to put a list of everything that we needed to do in order to reach there.
Well, without being specific to any particular school, can you give us an example, a general example of how a school has done that?
I think all the good schools, they do that. They just sit in the beginning of every year. They study what happened last year, and they try to come up with the ways of improving their school. So they try to put a plan. Some schools would say that this is our plan for 2 years, the coming 2 years. Some schools say that this is our plan for the coming 5 years, and some would go further than this or not. Even I've heard that in one Japanese company, they put a plan for 125 years.
Wow, very nice. I'm just going to stop you there. Doctor, thank you very much for your time. We'll be back shortly. Short break. Dr. Mamdouh will still be with us. We will see you then.
Islam Unveiled.
Who is God? Who is the Lord of Muslims? Whom do Muslims worship? And the fifth pillar of Islam was to perform pilgrimage to the ancient house of God, which was built by the angels first, then reconstructed by Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him, which is located in the most holy city on earth, that is Mecca. So we believe in those books as they have been mentioned exactly in the Quran. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, have been receiving the Quran on intervals, segments by segments, chapters by chapters, parts by parts. It took 23 years for the Quran to complete its revelation. You claim that the Quran is not the word of God? How could you convince me that there is only one version?
Dr. Muhammad Salah will cover issues related to Muslim worship, creed, books, and much more. So stay tuned for Islam Unveiled.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our episode of Our Schools, What is Missing. Just before the break, we were discussing various issues around action plans. And we were discussing the elements of a successful plan. We said that it's very important there's certain elements that don't change, and obviously you have to apply this plan to specific situations. Doctor, what is the evidence and what's the results of a successful plan, both on the students and on the teachers? How does this make them feel, and what is the feeling there, and what do you see in the results?
The results, of course, are the outcome. You see the outcome of the students, yes, which are the students, their achievement, their results of their exam internationally. When you compare them internationally, you would find that they are having a good rank internationally. This is quite common in saying that this school would graduate. For example, I give you two scenarios, scenario A and scenario B. You go to one school, and you find that the results of, there are 3 graduates of this school. They are the top 3 students in that city. 3 of them.
And you're directly relating that to the planning here.
But just let me explain this, and then you will decide yourself. However, 95% of the students graduate with an acceptable level. But it's only 3 students, and they are the top on that city or that country.
Okay.
This is scenario A. Scenario B, you go to another school, you will find that 70 or 80 or 90% of the students graduate at a level of very good. And 5% of the students fail. Now you have these two scenarios. Which scenario is better? Scenario A or scenario B? I'd like to get an answer, to elicit an answer from
Well, I
you.
think scenario B is as a teacher or headmaster.
Wonderful. Scenario B tells us the answer. It's 90% of the students are very good. So this is the work of the school. But this school, when you say that 3 students are on the top of the world, it's the work of the students or their parents or other facts. It's not the work of the school. This scenario is the work of the school, is the outcome of the school, because we're talking about 90% of the students are achieving this. We're not talking about individuals who may be talented or who may be supported by extra support outside. This is the product of the school. This is not the product of the school.
So I can see that this is, from a parental point of view, that this is obviously a clear sign, a bellwether about the school.
This is the school where you need to put your child in. It's not this school, right? I think that everybody can see this by himself, that this is what we need to do in our schools, to get up, to uplift all the students to that level.
So we don't actually need to look at the plan, although we probably need to look at
when you first time to visit the school, you need to look at a number of things. One of the things, you need to see the brochures where the vision and the mission are. So you need to, okay, is this what you want for your child or not? If you decide that this is really okay and sounds very promising and you like it and it maintains the fitrah of your child, that's what they say.
Well, I think this is the issue, isn't it? Because exactly what I was saying, this is what they say. You read a lot of nice
Very good. You
English
read nice
language.
fantastic. This is step number 1. Don't be deceived. You go to step number 2. You go there, you meet the principal or his assistant, whoever is responsible, or sometimes it's the social worker. Okay, I need to do this. I need to have a look at the action plan of the school. I need to make some observation in classrooms to see the teachers teaching, and I need to meet with some teachers, and I need to meet with some students. And you take me around the school. So you need to make some steps. After you've been fascinated by the nice, wonderful, glossy brochures, you need to see the action. Now you go and see, they will show you the action plan. Now you take a copy of it if it is permissible, and most of the schools would welcome that because you are a new customer, so they want to to satisfy you, to please you. So you get a copy of it, and after listening to all these details that we talked about it, now you became an expert, perhaps more expert than other schools. So you look at it and you see how realistic it is. You see how accurate and precise it was written, and it has all the components of a successful action plan. So this is wonderful. Now you have the glossy brochure, wonderful. You have a nice action plan. You need to see action in action, the plan in action. You need to see that. Okay. It says that we make, for example, 3 workshops for teachers, all the teachers around the school every year.
Well, that's something I think I'd be concerned about myself.
So you take this one, and then let's say that you met with some teachers and you talk to the teachers about many things. One of them, when was the last time that you got a workshop here? And the teacher said that the last time was 7 years back. Now this is the first question mark. You start doubting that this action plan is in action. It's a plan, but it is not in action.
Okay, so you're saying meet the teachers. So
of course.
We look at the results.
This is your child. This the dearest thing that you have. So you want to select the best for your child. So you meet with the teachers, even you meet with the students, right? You meet with the principals in order to verify, is this action plan reality or it's unreal thing? It's just some papers written to get the money of new customers, right? And from this, by now, I think by knowing all these details, you are an expert. You can really judge a school. And then when you go to classrooms and you see, we talked about the qualities of the good teachers. We talked about teaching strategies. We talked about cooperative learning and collaborative learning. We talked about many things, and I'm quite sure that with this information in your background. You can go there and see the teacher, what they're doing. And to see some schools, some good schools, when you go and they would allow you to attend for some teachers, they would give you evaluation sheet for the teacher. And they would take this. Of course, you're not doing it by yourself, but you have some criteria to follow and see, is the teacher doing these criteria or not?
Yeah.
But now you became an expert when you see this sheet that has all these items that you are evaluating the teacher accordingly. You know that from these items, you would know that whether this is a good school or not.
Okay. Now going back to actual action plans and implementation, this has obviously started at the top. We've started at the top in the action plan for the school. How can we ensure that teachers and students themselves are planning themselves? And obviously teachers, that's probably, it's probably well sort of kept up. What about students themselves? There must be some emphasis on students themselves planning.
No doubt about that. That's why some schools would make some workshops for the students and some orientation for the students. For example, to give them some teaching about study tips. How do you study? How do you review before the exam? How do you prepare yourself for this? And they would all the time provide the students with these things. Not only that, they would request that students who have gone through previous years, they would ask them to come and show and share their experience. So they are their colleagues, but they are in higher grades than them. So they would ask. So now it's not fake. It's the other students who graduated, and now they are telling their stories and their experience with the school and how they prepared for study and how they planned. And this would give really the students the confidence. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor. We will finish the show there. Some excellent tips from Dr. Mamdouh in choosing a school for your children, and perhaps from some general advice in our lives as well. We thank you very much again. We thank you, dear viewers. We look forward to seeing you again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Oh, sing, children of the world, come together and hear the call. Sing, children of the world, Islam will unite us all. Sing, children of the world, come together and hear the call. Sing, children of the world, Islam will unite us all. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wallahu akbar. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wallahu